In just 14 days of advertising, we spent $631.28 on ads and generated 16 qualified leads at a little less than $40 a pop. And this is exactly what it's going to take to build $1 million fence company from scratch. So in this episode, I'm going to show you 3 critical things. 1, the real paperwork and legal setup required to run a legitimate fence company, exactly how much we've spent on advertising and the results we've gotten, and the behind the scenes of the decisions that most fence companies never want to talk about. And of course, this is the exact same process I'm going to use to build what will become a 7-figure fence company, and I'm going to document it every step of the way so you can see what actually works in 2025. Now, the realities of business that nobody's talking about and they don't show on social media is paperwork, right? All the stuff you have to do to get started with the company. They make it seem super easy, like, hey, just go out there and start building fences, right? But at the end of the day, you got to have some things that are legitimate in place. So here's what we did when we started building out our process. So first thing was, I just went to Rocket Lawyer, spent like $630 and was just like, hey, help me start a business, get the LLC stuff in place. So what they did for me is, 1, file for my LLC. So we filed here with Presto Fence Company, LLC. So we received that in the mail. And then I had to get insurance, right? So we have to be able to have insurance as a company. Now, when we start out, we were hire out and sub out our work to another company. But that being said, we still have to have insurance as a business to be able to cover liability and things like that. I called who was State Farm. They're actually they do my personal ones as well. They're down in the same area that the fence that we're installing is manufactured. So it was just an easy win, right? And super simple to get set up. So we have that going right now. That's about $430 a month. And then, of course, I had to go locally where I am located in Shelby County, Alabama, or outside of Pelham. And I had to go get a business license. The nice part about that was it took me probably, 25 minutes to go in, get registered, show them all my stuff, and then walk out the door with this, which was super nice. So let's let people know that, hey, we're a legitimate fence company located. Now, we are working out of my house, so we're working on Google Business Profile stuff. I got denied the first time, but we will get it fixed. I talked to somebody the other day, and we're going to have it reinstated. And then, of course, the one thing that Rocket Lawyer did for us as well is they did get us our EIN number, so I have that here. So I keep all this paperwork around. We scanned it in to our computer, so we have a scanned copy as well. But yeah, so like these were the primary things. The last thing is, and I've submitted this in to the board, is a home builder's new limited license. So we had to go fill out this application here, but I had to get registered first. So we're waiting to hear back from them. But in the meantime, doesn't mean we can't start running ads and trying to sell business and while we're waiting on this process to come in. All right, so let's talk about what actually moves the needle, and that is paid advertising using Meta, right? Using Facebook and Instagram ads. So obviously, as a marketing company, we've run these campaigns before for this client, and now that we're a fence company, we're running similar campaigns, right? We're same target audience, same type of ads. So what we did was, and what's so funny is I actually got, in the middle of recording this video, right, I actually got 2 more phone calls and leads that came in. So I actually had to stop recording, answer the leads, and call back, right? So as transparent as I can be about results, here it is, right? And of course, obviously, we spent more money when I started recording the video. So let's get into it. So we're running 4 ads here, okay? And the ads are going to draw leads from when somebody calls me from our landing page, so we have it tracked through there, and then when somebody fills out a form, right? Those are the 2 primary things. We were getting a lot more phone calls lately now. I say that we tend to starting to get some more phone calls than we are at web form fills. But that being said, so we were started with 4 ads, 2 primary lead campaign ads that were video ads, and then 2 retargeting based off of 50% of video views, right? Now, these were running about $40 a day for each one of these ads separately, and then these were about $10 a day. In the first week, this one wasn't doing that great. And I could just kind of tell the performance wasn't going to be as good as this retargeting one. So I actually dropped this video view one here, retargeting, and then put this retargeting one up here just because it just was performing better. We weren't getting any leads, but we had already gotten 2 on that one. So, well, for the budget, just worth it, right? As you can see, I'll show you results here real quick. So we've got frequency. That's just how many times it's actually being shown to people, right? Which is great. When you start getting to the 3s, the ad creative is usually getting fatigued or it needs to be changed, unless you're still getting leads, and then you don't touch it, right? But that being said, so you can see cost per lead here on the retargeting is about $31. This one here for this ad here is about $50, and this one here is about $40. So still very reasonable. Not going to make any changes to anything. Doesn't make any sense. You can see how many are generating leads here, 8, 4, and 3. And honestly, that's probably not completely accurate considering that sometimes the phone calls don't track because Meta is dumb, right? So those are the primary results there to get to 15, and I think we're actually up to, yeah, somewhere around there. Anyway, that being said, so check out some of the ads we're running. So this was the very first one we launched, and I'll show you what it looks like here and the copy because I'm not afraid to show you guys anything. So let's take a look at the expanded view. So if you'll look here, it's what it looks like, a mobile version here. So we call people out with the ad, right? And this is a split rail concrete fence. So it's two, 3, or 4 rail, mostly 3 and 4 rail gets sold. A lot of great stuff about it, but at the end of the day, usually it's going to be on large properties with farms, animals, things like that. And that's who the people that are going to be buying this fence, right? Because it's going to keep them in. So that's how we targeted, right? That's how we started from the beginning, and it's done really great. So the hook here has got cattle horses that treat your fence like it's optional. If your water vinyl split rail fence is sagging, rotting, or just plain giving up, this is your sign, right? At Presto Fences, we only install one kind of fence, right? So that immediately makes us the expert because we only do one fence. And it's a fence that's going to solve this problem that they're experiencing right here, okay? Permanently concrete fencing, reinforced with fiberglass rebar, no nails to fail, looks like wood, built like a tank, backed by a lifetime guarantee on the product, right? If we install the fence. If they install it, we can't. No more chasing livestock, no more patching rails, just one solid fence that actually holds up. Click below to see if this is the right fence for you, right? And then they can click here. And the video we have running is this here. You probably can't hear. Did you have large cattle or horses that keep getting out of your fence because you have a wooden or vinyl fence that you're always having to repair or replace? That's why at Presto Fences, we only install one kind of split rail fence, and that is the permanently concrete fence. Reinforced. So what I did was, this is video that I took using 2 iPhones and a nice mic, plus other footage that I've had as B-roll, and essentially just went down, shot it, and clipped it together with CapCut, right? And owning a marketing company and have done video editing before, this was easy for me, but obviously you can hire somebody out. So that being said, so that's the first ad we were running there. Second ad that we're running, and this one we've done a while ago, was just a product informational ad. So we did a voiceover ad a while back and actually ran this with their company and another company, and it crushed. It did great. So far we're not doing too bad with this one. So what we did here was we used different copy, right? So here we're talking about the product. So if you're tired of a rotten wooden fence, that was literally the first hook we ever used when we started running ads for this type of fence, and it crushed. You're not the only one, and we've got the fix. Here's a permanently concrete fence, and then here's the thing. At Presto Fences, we get into my company here. This is the only fence we install because after seeing what works and what doesn't, this is the only one that makes sense, right? So obviously the same type of copy here of explaining why you should go with a permanently concrete fence. And then we just did a promotion. Are you tired of dealing with your rotten wooden or vinyl fences? Introducing permanently precast concrete fences where strength meets. So it's about a minute 15 long video, just me going over all the different features and benefits of the fence itself, right? So people can learn about the product, because essentially that's what we're doing, is we're selling the product, right? And then retargeting. We were running 2 retargeting ads, this was the one that's currently working right now at $30 leads. So I am not upset at that by any means. And most of these are picking up, and we'll go over that in just a minute. So, yep. So here's the one here. So obviously we got the branded logo here. We kept it simple, right? I created this in Canva, but you can tell like it's primarily the fence is the primary focus of this creative, right? And then it looks like a search bar right here. It says, I need a fence that lasts, right? So that's, talk about great. And then here's the fence. We want to make sure we included what the product name was, which is permanently, right? Because we install that fence. And then, of course, our company here, Presto Fences, noticing that, once again, we're trying not to cover up the fence photos here, but they look great. And, of course, you can see, so now, with this being retargeting, they've seen the video and they watched it, right? So what we did was call it out. You saw what makes permanently different. You're probably even imagining how great it would be to stop fixing the fence every year. So what's holding you back? We're not here to pressure you. We just believe sorry, we just believe if you made it this far, you're probably tired of wood or vinyl fences sagging and your animals testing your patience, right? Meaning we know you've been keeping an eye on this product, right? You've seen the video, or you've been on our website, or you've been on the Permanently website, right? We retarget off those. Anyways, and just a call to action to like, hey, give us a call, or get a quote, right? And then when they go to the landing page, if you click get quote, it won't let me do it. So what we did was, and I'll show you the landing page real quick. We essentially just built a 3-page website. Okay. So let me show you. All right. So when they click get quote, they can come here, they can call us, right? So if it's a mobile phone, they can call us here, which a lot of people do, see us on socials, right? And then they can fill out a form quickly and pick whatever fence style they want, right? And it looks great. Now, as you go down, you can get some information about the fence. Once again, another call to action to call us, right? I'd almost rather them do that. More about why they should trust us to install it. Ready for a fence that lasts a lifetime, right? Call us now. Here's our process. And then, of course, this thing's rendering real funny. It's pretty bad, right? And then here's projects, right? So we've used projects that have been installed before. And then just, people what they said about the product itself. And then any frequently asked questions, right? And then the only other 2 pages we have are going to be a product page. So we're going to dive in a little bit deeper about the product here, okay? Show you 2, 3, and 4 rail. Show you that this is the most popular as far as 3 rail fencing. Once again, our process, things like that, and then a contact page, right? And this is what's so simple about this whole thing of starting this company is we have a proven fence, proven concept, proven demand, proven marketing. Now it's just our job to sell the fence, right? Pay for the advertising, sell the fence, use our client as the installer until we get enough jobs to where we can hire a crew in-house and have them installing the fence. So anyways, that's where we're at on this part here. As far as that's concerned. So in looking into the last part here is just looking at decisions and deciding like how you answer the phone, things like that, follow-up process that a lot of people just don't talk about. So when you're looking into the dashboard here, so I just want you to show, so we got 15 qualified leads, right? People that answer the phone or responded in a text message, right? So that's qualified. They were actually filled out the information. It wasn't junk. We got rid of the ones that were. As far as estimates given out, we have $109,000 in estimates ready to give that have either gone out or about to go out, right? And the big thing here is, I know some people are like, well, how many of you closed? We haven't closed any. We've literally been running ads for 2 weeks. Like the anticipation of closing a deal in the first 2 weeks of running an ad for fences that are averaging $15,000 to $30,000 a fence, people aren't ready to buy now. Most of these people are looking to buy in the next 3 months, 2 months, 6 months maybe, right? It may be that far out. And honestly, we're backed up 2 months on the fence being installed right now with the crew we're using. So, once again, like even if these people are ready to move forward, we get a deposit, it's going to be a couple months before we even schedule, right? So going into this, I knew that it would be 3 months before I may start seeing return on revenue coming in on the advertising we're spending. So that's perfectly okay. Why? Because when it gets going, if I spend $5-6 grand on advertising and we pull out 100K plus, right? Because we're going to get more leads in the next 3 months, or it would probably get up to 350, 400,000, and we close 200 something thousand. I'm only spending $5 or $6 grand. Hey, I like that as a return, and I'm not mad at it whatsoever. Now, of course, the most valuable part of the day, the thing that most people don't talk about, is taking sales calls. I'm personally handling every single call or inquiry right now because I need to understand exactly what customers are asking for and what objections they may have, whether it be pricing, whether it be, I'm not sure about concrete, right? Because this is a fence product that a lot of people haven't heard about. So we have to do a lot of front-end education. We have to do a lot of informing and then comparison and then benefits, right? And then showing them the long-term investment they're going to get. And in the process of doing this, right, like we're going to track like how many leads close, and we understand too that like not all leads are going to close today, right? Some of these may be ready to go in 3 months, 4 months, a year, and they just heard about the product, right? Because most of the time people aren't in a hurry to buy a fence. So they're really planning and think about what they want. And when something's new to the market, they're going to be questionable as to, is this something that I want or not? So we're keeping track of those objections. And one of the things we're doing is obviously we use high levels of CRM. We use automations in place. But some of the things that we want to do is after we have a phone call with them, we want to send them something over that's going to be of value to them or helpful to them, whether that be using things like Project Mapit to send over a particular project that may match close to what they've done, right? They can look at it on an interactive map, they can check it out, they can see what it may look like on their property and really get some good photos there. Or it's just like it's answering the questions of what most of the time is things like pricing. Wow, like yours is more expensive than wood or vinyl. 100% it is. It absolutely is more expensive. But when we install it, you get a lifetime guarantee on the product. So it's understanding what are ways we can set them up to know that, like, hey, this is going to be a more expensive product versus a wood or vinyl. But know that, hey, right now you're calling me because you had a wood or vinyl fence that's been broken after 5 or 10 years, and you're like, oh, we're having to replace it again. So you don't want to ever have this conversation again with us. You just want to have it one time, get it installed, have a gorgeous fence on your property you can brag to everybody about, keep your horses and cattle in, things like that. With that being said, though, so one of the things that we started doing, or one of the things we did, and I did, was I helped I asked a few people in the contracting space, and I built a pre-qualification script and process to make sure that we can qualify people before they're like ready to move forward. And we drive out, an hour or two to their property to actually get an idea of what it's going to take to install it and get final numbers as to what it's going to be to install the fence. Now, one of the things we can do that's really cool, though, is we can actually hop on Google Maps with their address, and we can map out the footage and get as close as we can to a good estimated price to be able to give them that. And if they decide they want to move forward, right, then we go out to the property, see what other things that could be in place, and then give them a final invoice, right, for that 50% deposit. Make it super simple for them, and then they can, of course, get started, and we'll get them on the schedule. Now, before we go here on this video, I do want to show you one last thing that I think most contractors are missing out, and it's a missing piece, and it's just really like how you handle people on the phone, and it's having a pre-qualified sales script, right? One that qualifies and has questions that you're going to ask every single time, because you're going to want to train somebody on this. So when somebody answers the phone, they're super friendly, they're nice. That's the way I've always been with everybody. When you call our business, we're like, hey, this is Jordan Presto Fences, and you know exactly who it is, you know who you're talking to, you know what company you're calling, and they get that every single time. So I want them to all have the same experience, whether they use us or not, because I can tell you, you can get referrals off people that don't buy. And if you give them a great experience and a great feeling, you can get referrals of somebody that may be in a better position or it may be better fit to get this fence product. So let's check out the pre-qualification process. All right, so here is the pre-qualifying script we have for when people call, right? And we want to do the thing. So one, this is, and I created this for training purposes, right? What's the purpose of the script? Qualify leads from Facebook ads or organic inquiries, guide them through the process, confidently answer questions, right? Like that's the goal. So we'll use this, we'll tweak it, and then answer for training script. So this is an automated text that goes out typically, but we can also send it out as well, like as a, like, hey, I'm about to give you a call. But the big thing is, here's the call opener. Hey, so-and-so. Now this is an outbound call, right? The greeting will change if somebody calls us. Somebody calls us, I'm immediately upbeat, right? On my phone tells me, it gives a beep and tells me like, hey, this is a new lead from Facebook ads, right? So I have that. So usually I'm answering it with like, hey, this is Jordan Presto Fences. How can I help you? And then we get started into like their questions and who they are, right? But if let's say they fill out a web form and I'm calling them with, hey, so-and-so, like, hey, John, this is Jordan with Presto Fences. You fill out a form about a fence project for the permanently concrete fences. Just calling to get a better idea of what you're looking for is now a great time. Or did I catch you at a bad time, right? So I'm saying these things as my opener, trying to keep it the same every time. And then, cool. So the second part is the qualifying framework, right? We want to understand the project, what they're trying to do. All right, cool. Let me ask a couple questions to see if permanently concrete fence is a good fit, right? We can say that. We'll probably adjust that, but for now, that's what we're going for. And then we have a series of questions here that we want to ask. So like, are you replacing an old fence or starting fresh? Okay, what kind of animals or activity do you have that you need the fence for, right? Sometimes it's just it's holding animals in. Sometimes it's, we want a perimeter fence right around our property. What's out there now? Do you have wood or vinyl, something else, or anything at all? Is the land mostly flat? Is it sloped? Any idea of how many feet you'll need? Any gates or removable fencing, right? Because all this factors into pricing. Okay, because we'll give it out by the foot. for, materials, delivery, materials shipping, installation, staining, right? We do all those things. That's included by the foot, but depending on how far it's got to be shipped, or if we have to add gates or removing any old fencing, like we have to put that into the estimate, right? So we want to make sure that we give them a good, as close ballpark as possible, and understanding what the fence is going to cost. So if it's clearly not a fit, like they're just looking for a privacy fence or something else, hey, just so you know, we only install these concrete fences. So if somebody does call about that, hey, do you install something else? We just know that, hey, we only do this one kind of fence. What are you looking for, right? Just inquiring a little bit more instead of just immediately dismissing that they didn't read the ad well enough or look at the website well enough, just being like, hey, are you looking for privacy fence, or what are you looking for? And if they're like, well, privacy fence to keep out my nosy neighbor, hey, no problem. Just letting you know, we only install this one kind of fence here. It's this split rail fence, and we're happy to do that, but it sounds like you need a privacy fence. So it's probably, obviously, we're not going to be able to do that for you. We do appreciate you calling. Just thinking, keep us in mind though, if you do want this kind of fence, right? So we want to keep that rapport going with them and leave them with a good feeling. So when let's say for some reason down the road they go, oh, you were looking for a split rail fence, hey, call these people, they have this cool concrete fence, right? Let me look them up. So we want to have them remember our brand, remember our name, and remember how they felt when they dealt with us. So when we move into the cost part, right, like sometimes on the phone we can give them a price if I know roughly how far they are and I have an idea. Because some people are just insistent. What's the price? What's the price? What's the price? And we could give them a ballpark between $2 or $3 per foot. So I always say, I'm like, hey, just up front, like we're obviously not going to be the cheapest fence, right? And I think you know that because you're dealing with a wooden fence or a vinyl fence right now that you're having to replace, and you probably already replaced it one time, or you're like, crap, we just installed this like 5 years ago, and now we're replacing it again. And this is a permanent solution. So obviously we're going to be a little bit more expensive. So I'm just letting you know, like, based on price, footage, style, rail style, indicates like we're going to give you a ballpark. And then if you're serious, we'll do a quick walk of your property and then understand exactly what it's going to be to move forward, right? Just so they know. And then we give them their price, right? And we say, cool. So here's a ballpark estimate what it is. If you're serious in moving forward, we'll come out, we'll really check the property, make sure there's nothing that we're not seeing that would cost more money for us to do more work. And if that's clear, all we do is we take a 50% deposit, we put you on the schedule, and then we take care of the rest, right? We handle the rest. So I'm giving them a next step as to what's going to happen. Now, I have common questions down here. So why is it more expensive? Great question. Here's the answer, right? So I have some common objections here, and we'll adjust these as we go and make notes if people have other questions, so we can put in our front-end marketing, try to answer those as much as possible, or put them in a text message or a follow-up, right, that may go out to answer these questions, right? Because we believe fully in the product, and I think everybody should have it that it's a good fit for and it's what they're looking for. So I want to make sure that they get every opportunity possible to make a good decision on installing the fence on their property. Of course, if they're ready to move forward, right? Hey, I think we're doing it. Awesome. Let's get you on the calendar. We're going to send you over everything you need to expect. Here's how you wire us the money, and then here's how we're going to put you on the schedule. All those things, right? And then a few other things here to follow up with people that have ghosted or haven't answered that aren't in the automations to kind of break that pattern of them actually calling in. So all this super helpful, right, to have this built out, and we'll continue to optimize this, continue to add to this script here, and making sure that like we're qualifying people the right way, we're giving them a great experience right out of the gate. And so we'll go from there. But the one thing I always do, and I will key you on this, the one thing I always do is I have a next step of what's going to happen next. Even if it's like, hey, let's get you a quote put together. We're going to send it over to you at the end of the day today or the very first thing in the morning. And we'll put it in an email, and then we're going to call you to follow up. And then I do those things. And I'm going to say, what questions do you have? Because some people, this may feel like a lot of money right out of the gate. And so you're going to be like, wow, this is really expensive. I'm not going to afford it. So I want to make sure I can answer those questions to make sure that you understand, like, hey, like there's a reason why it costs more money. Okay. So that being said, always make sure that you have a next step in the process and people know exactly what to expect. Because if these people just call and like, yeah, just send me an estimate whenever. And then I don't tell them when it's coming. I don't tell them how it's coming. I don't tell them what's going to happen when it gets there. If you don't set those expectations, you're going to lose people real quick and give them a bad taste in their mouth. So build yourself a quality qualifying script like this one. You can borrow this one if you want. Let me know. Reach out to me in whatever video this is at, and I'd be glad to hook you up there. Now, looking ahead here in the future, we're obviously going to continue to increase ad spend on the ads that are working, continue to come up with more creative and videos, and still with the expectation that we may not close jobs in 2 to 3 months. So I'm not worried about the front end investment on ad spend, because as you saw in our pipeline, we already have $100,000 in estimates going out. Even if half of that closed, right, a 50% close rate or 40%, I'm getting a return on the investment on ad spend. So now that you understand how we're building a fence company through proper systems, paid advertising, we're going to come back later and update when we're going to start closing some of these deals and getting the actual fence installed and showing the behind the scenes of that. So the ultimate goal is obviously scale out another install team internally and then not sub it out, reduce the installation time from 2 to 3 months to a 3 to 4 wait time to get installation going. So until next time, come check us out, see how the process is going, check out the journey. Would love for you to follow along. And of course, as always, if you need help or this inspires you, man, let me know. I love to hear those things. Till next time.